Hello and welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent converts and seasoned fans alike. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Angelica.
And it's time to return back to our roots and to a good old-fashioned educational K-pop episode.
Truly feels like it's been a while since we've done this. Like between our end of the year award extravaganza, which we always do, and our like anniversary special, and then our fucking quarterly reports. Like it has been so long since we've done some honest to God research for this. Like, yes, the quarterly reports required research, and like, yes, we sweated and cried over our choices for the awards, but like the quarterly report research wasn't fun. Okay.
No, it was just tedious. It was just tedious.
It was just tedious
and stressful.
And it wasn't like
it felt
interesting.
Like,
I didn't learn anything.
Something. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that is interesting in that I feel like today's episode, I didn't learn as much as I thought I would. In that a lot of this was covered. I thought that we were going to be uncovering some deep gems, but it turns out there actually weren't that many missing from our knowledge. So, as teased in those quarterly episodes, today we are talking about the history and the growth of English music or English lyric songs performed by K-pop artists.
Yes. And this usually comes in like two different forms, which we're going to get into, like the definition and the distinction. And we'll try to
properly note them.
Between, properly note like which is which throughout the episode. But basically we wanted to do this episode because we noticed a significant amount of original English songs released in 2020. So when we were doing the quarterly reports, we decided to separate those and make it a different episode to see if there was this like significant history of the like English language in K-pop, because we've all obviously talked about how like a lot of the choruses will often have like an English hook so that it's easy to Google for international audiences. That is like a factor of the K-pop formula. But then having a song that is fully in English, we've actually, we've talked about this in a couple of different episodes. It's come up before in some of our deep dives, and it's come up before, of course, in the K-pop in America episode that we did as well. So a lot of this information wasn't like revolutionary.
Right. But it is a refresher, and it
to
will all
us,
be
at
in
least.
the one. Yeah. But it'll be, if you've listened to all of those episodes, then this is just a refresher about the history of all of that. So yeah,
with some new little,
a few new sprinkles,
little nuggets,
a few sprinkles for sure. So yes, to jump into like a timeline, as Angelica said, we've noted before, English has kind of always been a part of K-pop in one way or another. I think we said in the first gen episode that HOT was like particularly like the bane of English teachers' existence because they wrote nonsense raps that were in English, but they were not.
Right. Just like TVXQ, like own each other up all night. It's nothing. Nonsense grammatically.
But I'd noticed when doing, because I was trying, so I went deep. I like looked into discographies of like every first gen group I could think of to try and like find any English gems hidden in discographies. And I noticed while doing that having titles, the title of the song be in English did not start happening until post BoA. Like all song titles and album titles were like fully in Korean. Like that was just a thing. And then it became like trendier to like name things with English. And now that's the standard.
Yeah, now that is the standard. We've never really mentioned that specifically. I guess like it's never really like come up in any of the episodes, but I'm sure you guys have noticed, like just in your K-popping, that almost all, like it's almost rare now to find a title that is only written in Hangul.
Very noticeable, like TXT, all of their song titles are like long Hangul sentences, like long ones. And we noticed that, like, oh, look, all of their titles are like long. And
because a lot of times, like, even when a song is completely in Korean, like if it's a B-side or something, like an EXO B-side or Shiny, whatever, but the song is completely in Korean, it doesn't even have that English line of a hook in the chorus, and still the title is in English.
Right.
So yeah, it is a standard.
Just a thing that we've noticed. So, and like I said, I looked really hard, and I'm afraid of making definitive statements on this show because I could always be wrong. But I feel like we can definitively say that BoA started this. I could not find any evidence of anybody pre-BoA making an English track. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But her first album, Don't Start, or her first special album, which was like the second mini, called Don't Start Now, had an English version of Don't Start Now, ID Peace Be, and a song called Sarah on it. And that was released in 2001. But an interesting thing about this album is it also had Chinese versions of those songs, which is something I noticed as a first and second gen trend. If groups made an English version of a song, it also had a Chinese version, like almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It was like you did both of those markets if you were going to re-record the song.
Yeah, you weren't making an English version just specifically for, let's say, like the Western market. You were just putting out multiple versions of your song. And this brings us to that distinction that I mentioned earlier, but I didn't really dive into. So we're going to kind of look at the difference between, we're going to look at both English versions of songs, meaning just the Korean song has been re-recorded with fully English lyrics. And then we're also going to look at an actual English release, which would be a song that is originally in English or a song that is specifically released in like a Western industry or the like Western audience.
For sure. And yeah, that was, but the Western, trying to get the attention of the West was still definitely not a priority this early in K-pop. So another thing I noticed is that all of the BoA English songs almost exclusively exist on Japanese albums.
Yeah.
That was not a thing that the Korean market was doing, but like it made sense in Japan, and BoA was huge in Japan. So just an interesting thing to note that I noticed. The next instance of English I could find is Shinhwa's song Perfect Man, which we've watched on the show. That's their very Backstreet Boys-y song. They released an English version of that as a special track on one of their concert albums in 2003. And then the next thing wasn't for a few more years, which is in 2007. We haven't talked about this guy in a while, but
I think we mentioned him, like the only time we've talked about him is when we did our solo artists episode.
And in the military episode, because he got in big trouble in the military.
Trouble. I remember that.
Yes.
Oh,
but
I'm
Seven,
in trouble.
yeah, in the early second gen, Rain and Seven were like kind of competing for like hot solo boy.
Yeah.
But Seven was under YG, and YG, like JYP, the next year had a huge plan to like debut Seven in America, and it started with an MTV documentary, and then it took another year, and then YG spoiled that he was going to do a song with Fabulous. Does anyone remember Fabulous? But that got leaked on MySpace, so they had to like crumble that whole plan.
Wow.
Then they had a pre-release album party in 2008 where they played 3 songs off of this album that, as far as I can tell, does not exist. Like, this album was never released. It's possible that it's out there somewhere, because the other weird thing about this like early 2000s time is that like digital music was still really new. And a lot of these like albums and stuff that these groups put out were never physical albums. They were like digital singles released to music platforms that don't exist anymore. So like maybe I just never found it. But as far as I could tell, this Seven English album never came out. But he did debut a song called Girls featuring Lil Kim.
I like them girls that's hard them girls, girls. I like them girls, girls.
And they played it at least once on BET.
Wow.
And it does not seem to have had any other impact otherwise. So like I totally fell under my radar. But that's an interesting thing that we'll see for the next couple, featuring a prominent Western artist in the song as well. It's another layer, I feel like, and maybe
and
even a
almost
separate thing.
Yeah, and that feels like a ploy to try, and we're gonna see it in like a couple other, I think, attempts, right? Because those like original big three, which yes, I know they're not the big three anymore, but like the original big three, like SM, JYP, YG, they had these grand plans in a lot of different ways, but like yeah, a few of them had grand plans for these US debuts, and I think that the featuring a Western artist is that kind of like extra tactic of like, well, maybe people will pay attention if Lil Kim is on this or something.
And I think we could even say it's a tactic that is still used to this day. We'll talk about
100%.
French Montana later. Like it's still a thing.
Yeah. Or even like, and what's interesting, I would say now, I guess we could talk about it later in the timeline, but because it's on my mind, I'm bringing it up now. I already started the sentence. But like, for example, the Ice Cream, Blackpink and Selena Gomez, right? Like that came out 2020, I believe. And that's a song where like, unlike this Seven song with Lil Kim, that Seven song with Lil Kim is fully in English. But Ice Cream, only Selena Gomez's part is in English, and Blackpink still sings in Korean, which I think is really interesting because like now you're getting a market where the Korean artists are arguably not having to conform to the Western market of singing in English, and they can continue to speak or to sing in Korean, and like it's still popular and still successful.
Yeah.
Very
fascinating
How
stuff.
far we've come.
I know, it's wild. So the next like tried to do an English thing. We talked about this, and I was surprised that there was less of it than I thought, which is Rain.
Yeah.
So like in 2006 on a Japanese album, Rain released an English version of Sad Tango. And then that was his first English thing as far as I could find in 2006. And then in 2007 is when we talk about this in the K-Pop in America episode. Rain has like a little media blitz. He gets real popular for a split second. But he never released like an English song. He performed at Madison Square Garden and went on TV, but he was just like singing his Korean songs.
Yeah, he never put out any like specifically original English music.
Yes, but he did do lots of like English versions, and I just wanted to note, if you've never heard the English version of Rainism, it's disgusting. That's the one where he has the magic stick verse, and it is so vulgar. It's so vulgar.
Wait, I need to look this up right now. Rainism, English lyrics. I don't think I ever have heard this English version. I'm just gonna look it up.
Yeah, I feel like it's like the second verse is like the magic stick part.
Oh my. See, I'm about to change positions. Come and take my magic stick. Gonna take you for a ride. Guaranteed to make your body shake.
With the breathing, and you have to remember
I know, with all the
breathing.
Yeah. It doesn't sound, I mean, I didn't like seduce you with my voice or my breathing, but trust that Rain will try.
Yeah. So that was like Rain's little moment, and like he really didn't do much English other than a few versions here and there, even though he was like arguably one of the people to make any kind of splash in American media or whatever.
Yeah.
But then in 2009, back to our girl Boa. Again, we've covered all of this in the 2-part Boa deep dive, so I'll go quick. But in 2009, she released a full 12-track album entirely in English with an English record label or an American record label, like not even like new versions of Korean songs. It was like all new. This is a debut American Boa. The main single was Eat You Up. It sold about 8,000 copies in the US, but like it went to #1 in Japan, as we noted in that episode, because her fans are loyal. But the music video like was in rotation, and it was on dance charts, and like we both remember it somehow.
Yeah. I feel like it had to have played on like a VH1 or
Radio,
like
Disney
MTV,
shit, I don't
like
know.
something. Yeah, like I absorbed that somewhere in my brain.
Because I remember when we watched the I Am documentary when we were really baby K-pop fans and they showed Boa and we both went, I know this song.
Yes, I remember that too. And we will never know why.
We'll never
Maybe
know
they played it
why.
on like PBS. I don't know, like some like after school special. I really don't know.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, no, wait. 2009, we would have been like 19
Yeah.
and 20. We would have been adults.
We knew each other
I don't
already.
know. I don't know.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway.
I'm glad you noted that went to #1 in Japan because, like you were saying earlier with Boa's first album where she did the English versions on the Japanese album. When I was looking, I did like the more recent stuff. I tried to look at like a post 2010, but I did find that in January of 2008, Big Bang released a Japanese album called For the World, and it only has 8 tracks. Well, it's a full album. It has 8 tracks, but all of them are fully in English, written and composed by G-Dragon. So that definitely counts as an English release, even though it was a Japanese album. It was fully original and like a whole album in English. And I think that's the only version of those songs. Like they didn't do, Japanese and Korean versions on that album.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, I was going to count them all later, but so then I guess that makes the Big Bang the first K-pop artist to do a full English album, and Boa is second, because if that was 2008.
Yeah.
There haven't been many. That's the point. There haven't been
Yeah, there
many,
have not
but
been
I was
very
just
many.
trying to like put it in the right order. So another thing that happened in 2009, which like we've talked about this a lot too in 2 different episodes, but in 2009, the Wonder Girls debuted in America with an English version of their song Nobody that they had just released in Korea. It was a pretty back-to-back thing, but the Korean version did exist first. But yeah, they toured with the Jonas Brothers and they made a Nickelodeon movie, and I think that was a good angle. And if JYP hadn't just insisted that he be front and center for so much of it, I think it would have worked better. Because like the music video is 7 minutes long and 4 of them are JYP doing a skit by himself. And it's like, if you wanted this show, like I think like he had a niche. He had the kids, but they would have played that song between the shows on Teen Nick if it was just the girls clapping in sparkly dresses.
Just the song. Yeah. Well, I honestly think that that's JYP's downfall in all things, that he's constantly inserting himself into it. And I bet if we ask GOT7, that's what their answer would be too. I think he just needs to take a big step back from everything.
For sure. I fully agree with that. So in 2010, this was something that was new to me and truly mind-blowing in a lot of ways.
Needs to be seen to be believed.
So in 2010, JYJ, these were the members of TVXQ who broke off from TVXQ, released.
Since excommunicated from the SM history wall, eliminated, rewritten.
Don't speak of them. They came out with a 8-track fully English album called The Beginning. And the lead single was called A Girl and featured Kanye West and Malik Youssef.
Stack my money tall, hide it
And the outfits in this music video, I need you guys to see them. One of the guys is wearing like a woman's backless halter. And he has, like,
swear
his
to God,
guns out, but it was the girliest top I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know what to do with it.
I thought it was an apron at first because of the way that it is like cut so low on his chest that it really does look like it's going to be an apron, and then it only has like half of a back. So like some of it almost looks like 2 aprons like tied together. It's bananas. And then one of the guys like just opts to go fully shirtless at a certain point. There's a lot of like really blousy tops, and half of this music video is just JYJ like running and falling toward the camera in slow motion. I don't know why. But
Yeah,
yeah, Kanye West sounds terrible on it.
Yeah, it's weird. The song starts out sounding kind of like flashing lights or something, but then it's
Yeah.
like very low energy. I felt like it was overall like low energy, and I just like didn't like it. And I was like, I guess this is why nobody saw this. But it did go it sold well in Asia, but I would have never known that this happened. But also, fun fact, SM's filed an injunction to keep this album from coming out because they were still fighting in the courts. It was thrown out, but they tried to stop this
Wow.
album from coming out.
So petty and bitter, SM. So petty and bitter. All right, I've got a couple of things that I can throw in to the timeline after
Sure.
this 2010 release. So in February of 2011, 2NE1 put out an English version of Can't Nobody, which was a song off of their 2NE1 album, but the English version was a Japanese iTunes exclusive. So again, like only released in Japan, or at least released specifically for the Japanese market. In May of 2011, Miss A put out a song called Love Alone. This is the group's first English song, and it is an original English song. It's not an English version. It was just a B-side off of the A-Class album, but it was actually written specifically for South Korea figure skating champion Kim Yuna's show. And so she used it in her
Skating
I
program.
guess it was an exposition, which was just called Ice Show, but it was also on the album.
Okay.
Then, let's see, we've got 2012. So in January of 2012, I think we talked about this too.
Oh, we surely did, because
Yeah,
the
we
remix is.
Yes, 100%. We definitely talked about this in the SNSD deep dive, but Girls' Generation put out an English version of The Boys. They released the album in the US and did so. Like the Boys album was a US release, and it had an English version of the title track only. All the rest of the songs were in Korean.
I accidentally bought the English version of that, like the week I became a K-pop fan, because Girls' Generation was my entrance. I love The Boys, and I bought the first one that popped up on iTunes, and it was that English version, and I was like, mistake! And then it took me a while to like find the actual Korean one, but I still have that English one. Still got it.
So then that same year, in September of 2012, YouKiss put out an album called Stop Girl, and the title track, also called Stop Girl, has an English version on this album. This was a regular Korean release. They just happened to include an English version in their album. That was 2012. So then the next thing I have isn't for a couple of years. It's not until 2016. I have that Tiffany put out on her EP, I Just Want to Dance. This was her solo debut. And she does have a song called, or excuse me, she has an English version of I Just Want to Dance on this EP. Then after that, from like 2017 to 2019, the English versions of songs grow
explode.
exponentially. Like they just start, you can look up a lot of different groups have
for
English
sure.
versions of their songs. Just to name a few, NCT has English versions of Regular and Love Talk. Card put out an English version of Don't Recall. G-Idol put out an English version of OMG. BTS put out an English version of Mic Drop. Ace put out an English version of Cactus. Red Velvet has an English version of Bad Boy and Really Bad Boy. GOT7 released Lullaby in 4 different languages. Monsta X released Play It Cool in English. Both Play It Cool and Mic Drop were released as Steve Aoki remixes, just to know. Twice put out an English version of More and More, and the list goes on. So these are just like a handful smattering, just to show you that there's like a wide variety, and those all came out within the last like 3 years. So it's really grown a lot. But with original English releases, that also grew exponentially in the same time period. And my list does not include any K-R&B artists, just to like pare it down. But there are quite a few. Like I saw that like Say and Dean, and I think there was like a couple Epic Highs and like Taeyong. Like they all have like English collaborations and stuff, but I didn't include them in this list because we're just focusing on K-pop. So let's see. In 2016, Amber put out the song Borders, which is an SM Station song. It's fully in English. Then we had CL off of her Lifted album. The title track Lifted is in English as well, and it has a music video that was filmed in Brooklyn. Let's see, that was 2016. So then 2017, we've got a couple. We have Peniel from B2B. Peniel?
Yeah, I think it's Peniel.
Whatever. Peniel from B2B. He put out a single called That Girl. Henry from formerly of Super Junior. He put out a single called That One. 10 put out an SM Station song called Dream in a Dream.
I'm saying up. I don't wanna come down from your love. We'll get lost together.
And all of these, I think it's not surprising. Like you can see the trend that the artists who are putting out the original English releases are artists who are fluent in English. I don't think that's too surprising. But then we also have Imagine Key off of his album Face that came out in 2018, and that was a fully English song, and it is original as well. He is fluent in English, but it's not one of his native languages. And then Eric Nam in 2019, he put out his first full English album, which was called Before We Begin, and that to date is his only full English album so far. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting trend that we would see, which I mean, I think it makes sense, but like an interesting trend that almost, with the exception of Key, the only person on that list, or actually CL, I think is not a native English speaker, but I know she's fluent, but I don't think she's native.
Another 2017 that I have, and I know that we have Orbits who will correct me about this, but one of the Luna subunits before they debuted Odd Eye Circle put out an English song called Lunatic, and that was an original English song. I don't know if any of those members are English speakers, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then just one other thing I had written in that time period for 2018 for history's sake. As far as I could tell, the first time that BTS ever did a full song in English was on Steve Aoki's album, and the song is called Wasted on Me. So it wasn't even on a BTS album. It was on somebody else's album.
That is interesting that it wasn't on their own album. That is not the first. They did an English version of Mic Drop with Steve Aoki in 2017.
Oh, okay.
But this one is an original song.
Okay,
so this is maybe their first English release. I don't know if that's true for sure, but it certainly predates the other English releases that I have on here. Because I originally had Boy With Love on my list too, but that, again, like Ice Cream, is an example where the artists didn't have to sing in Korean for that collaboration to be successful. Only Halsey sings in English, I think. Actually, no, I don't know if that's true. But I looked up the lyrics and I know they're both in Korean and English. I don't know who sings what. Okay, so that brings us to 2020, and basically this was the whole reason we did this freaking episode. We just wanted to talk about mostly Monsta X, but also Jackson Wang. So let's start out February 14th, 2020. These are all the songs that didn't make it into the quarterly report. February 14th, Monsta X puts out All About Love, a full English album under Epic Records.
Simmer down. I know what you've been on about. What can we do with all your friends around?
And they released 5 different singles off of this album starting in September of 2019. This album includes 2 features. It has Who Do You Love with French Montana, and it also has, what is it, By Your Side?
Beside You.
Beside You. I was close. Beside You featuring Pitbull.
There's also the will.i.am remix of the French Montana song, if that counts as a third.
Oh, yeah, but that's not on the
artist.
original album.
Oh, it's not?
No.
It
At least it's not on the one I bought. I don't have that I don't have that song.
I have this album on vinyl. It's so precious to me.
You sure do. Yeah, one of our first Patreon episodes, we did a little merch show and tell, and you brought out your vinyl.
My my All About Love vinyl.
It has the like horrifically photoshopped photo of them by the car.
Erased one really hard. That's a weird. This is All About Love is very interesting as a mon bébé for many reasons. Like, I mean, it's great. It's so good because it's a lot different than most Monsta X Korean releases. It's like
100%.
that one, like when we were first getting into Monsta X, I was like, send me all the songs that aren't the loud ones where people are growling. And it's like All About Love is just those kinds of songs, but except that they're very Western and they don't have bridges and they're like 2 minutes long, which is the only complaint I have about it.
Yeah, it is weird that they're all like 2.5 minutes. Not one of them has a bridge. It's very odd. And yeah, it's just like a completely different aesthetic for Monsta X because it is sort of like a 80s synth but like laid back music.
Yes.
I don't know. There's like a real melancholy vibe to All About Love.
And there are definitely still Wonho voice in some of the songs, which is weird too.
100%.
But yeah, it's just so good and it's so horny and cheeky and fun. There's like a song about like if you want to cheat on your boyfriend, you've got my number, and like we love that
which
so
I
much.
like. I think we laughed about. Maybe we laughed about this on the pod. I don't know. I don't remember if we ever like really talked about like the troubles of Monsta X and like the whole Shonu affair debacle of like
We
Shonu
did talk
actually.
about it.
We did talk about it, right?
We talked
Where
about
Shonu,
it
like,
when it
lived
was
his
really
fantasy of
fresh,
being a
and
cool
we
boy.
said that we wanted to laugh about it, but it was too
That's
fresh.
right. We wanted to laugh. Well, I can laugh about it now.
Now I can, yeah. Now it's
But
really
literally every time I listen to that song, "You Got My Number," every time I listen to it, I'm just like, the fucking audacity, like the audacity of Shonu, like literally weeks after news breaks that he absolutely confirmed was sleeping with a married woman who he claims didn't know she was married. He didn't know. But like, who gives a shit, dude? Like, I don't care if you're sleeping with married ladies. If I was married, I would sleep with you too. It's fine. I empathize with all of those ladies.
I wanna judge, and I can keep a secret, so
Anyway, literally like weeks later, he puts out a song that is about being the mistress, and I just, Shonu.
It's too perfect and it's too good, and yeah, I love it. It's just because I don't know. I listen to no music in English. Like, I listen to almost no music that is in English.
Yeah.
So it was just very exciting to have like new music that I fully 100% understand and can sing along with every word, and I love. And it's like I said, it's like horny and cheeky and flirty, and like when they sing about like she's the one but I can't tell her, I'm like, oh my god, they can't tell me. It like makes me a little, it just like turns me into a little child.
She makes my knees feel weak. She makes my drink feel stronger.
Monsta X.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and they
loved
did like
it.
some US promotions, and they're just really great. If you didn't follow that comeback, look it up. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, they got to go on Kelly Clarkson, the new like home of great K-pop performances. Thanks, Kelly Clarkson.
Of course, we can always trust Kelly Clarkson. Okay, then next up, I have March 20th. Jackson Wang put out a single called 100 Ways.
it's true. Could you love me the same? Tell me what makes you stay.
And we've definitely, this one we talked about on the podcast a lot because it was like it was the new thing the first week that we had to go into Quar. And it was like, so it's really imprinted with that time.
When this came out, I watched this music video like every day, at least once a day for weeks. Like, I absolutely, and I also really laughed when I like started to watch The Untamed. And people were like asking me like, oh, what is it about? And I was like, I don't know. The only context for this genre I have is Jackson Wang 100 Ways.
That's the only ancient Chinese anything you've ever
This is the only
experienced.
thing I've ever watched that is even remotely in the same world. But so the 100 Ways tells the story of like a star-crossed lovers, right, of ancient China. So basically like Jackson and his like 5 bros, his like 5 medieval bros, like raise him up from the dead. He's buried in like an unnamed plot in the middle of a forest, and they take him to his love's grave. They, I guess, sacrifice their souls in order to resurrect her. That's kind of unclear, but they resurrect her, and then the dudes
they
disappear.
love their bro so much that they
You're right, because they're like
life.
sworn to him, right? So they like give up their, I don't know, whatever. He enlists their help to raise her, and they do a beautiful partner dance, and then they together rest forever in her grave. And the way that he looked, like the look on his face when he hugs her close. Oh my God.
He's a good actor. He's a good actor.
Jackson Wang. This is the first song by a Chinese or K-pop soloist that ever reached Mediabase's US Top 40. So that sets a record. Good for you, Jackson Wang. The next English release I have for 2020 was in August. We get 2. August 14th, Jessie put out the single Numb. This was released on the Nuna EP, and then she released it as a single separately as a follow-up after Nuna. It does have a music video, and the lyrics are all in English. I've never heard this song, so I don't know what it.
I know I listened to it. I think I listened to it once when we were doing the quarterly reports. It is a ballad.
I was gonna say the music video looked like a ballad,
and Jessie is a very good singer. So if you like find her rapping cringy, I'd say check this one out because she is a talented singer.
Throwing up all the emotions. You're so quick to close up when I'm open.
Wow. Okay, cool. I didn't really know that. So that's interesting. I'll check it out. I'll check that out. Just a few days later, on August 20th, BTS put out the song Dynamite.
You know I go up. Hey, so let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire. Set the night light.
I feel like this is the song that like maybe is the reason that this episode needed to be done in a full historical perspective, because this song like has smashed every record that's ever existed and like is the English song now.
Yeah, 100%. This song was huge. It is BTS's first full English song. It was released originally as a single, and then it was later included in the B album. And it set a lot of crazy records. I didn't write all of them down because, to be honest, they were long, but
there were so many.
There were a lot, and a lot of them had to do with like numbers of like staying on the chart for multiple weeks, etc. I didn't want to write all of it down. I'm sorry. But I did write down what I thought were 2 of the most notable records, which was that with this song, BTS became the first South Korean group to top the Billboard Hot 100. This song did go to number 1, and it stayed there for several weeks.
Not the world chart, the plain old
pop
chart.
Not the world chart, the regular Hot 100 US like top 40 chart. And it also got them a Grammy nomination for Best Pop Duo / Group Performance, which makes them the first South Korean artist to ever be nominated for a Grammy, which is a really big deal.
Yeah, the song is everywhere. Listened when it first came out. I was listening to it every day. It's just a pleasant fucking jam. When I was staying with my parents, it's in like, at least at Christmas time, it was in multiple commercials for like Walmart or Amazon or whatever. Like,
yeah, it is in a few
song
commercials.
Is everywhere. I loved their disco suits.
Yeah, and like the dance is fun and it's really groovy. And one of them has like a nice low voice in it. I still don't love, I honestly only ever listen to it the one time because I don't vibe with the auto-tune. But it is a groovy song and it's a fun dance.
It is a fun dance. And yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I've noticed, and this is just noticing, and I know there are millions and millions of ARMY out there, but I don't know. I feel like there's a divide about Dynamite and people feeling like I don't know if they're like upset that it's so popular, or they feel like it's not the right caliber of BTS that they want to be the song that is popular. Or like, I don't know. There's
very
like,
different for the BTS aesthetic. I would like, as someone who only like on the periphery absorbs BTS, like it's kind of shocking how well I don't see them. You know what I mean? For like how popular they are. It's like pretty astounding how like little they factor into my K-pop bubble. But for me, like what I understand of BTS and their image of like being these like artistes, right? These like underdog artists.
Right.
This does not necessarily fit that aesthetic. And I wonder if there are some ARMY who almost feel like this is like a sellout. Like, I don't know. I never looked into any of the discourse about this, but like because it is so different. And I wonder if they thought maybe this was like sort of pop pandering.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I also think there are a lot of like.
I'm not saying it is, for the record, ARMYs out there.
We're
I'm
just
just saying
discussing.
I wonder if anyone feels this way.
Yes. Same
Just to
caveat.
clarify.
Just wondering. I feel like there is also still a lot of like resentment hanging around about how previous BTS tracks didn't get attention or radio play or the Western validation, quote unquote, that people are looking for. And so like I feel like there's a percentage of people that like don't like that they had to sing in English and make a bubblegum pop song to get #1 because the BTS they love is a different thing. And it's interesting. It's interesting. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it is interesting. I would argue, not that I want to dive into this argument, but I would argue that if you come to me and try to argue with me about this, I will ignore you. Don't come to me. However, I just want to say that like the previous, as far as like, oh, what about their previous tracks? Dynamite was specifically an English release and a release to the US market. Like it was specifically marketed to like the US side or whatever, and like that is why it is in English. So to say like, oh well, why didn't like these other BTS songs, which are, you know, so much better and like more illustrative of their artistry, blah blah blah, whatever your arguments may be, if that's specific, like, you know, you have to take into account the fact that like a Korean release, like what it would take for a release even in a different country, right? Like a British release or a Spanish release or a Mexican release, like that song, you know how fucking popular Despacito had to be in order for it to get on the top? And that wasn't on the top until Justin Bieber got on it, right? Like the original Daddy Yankee didn't make it to the top of the charts. Like, come on.
Yeah. I think that's,
but I'm not here to argue about BTS.
No, I just think that's also just part of the like bigger conversation about like how much do we as international K-pop fans like care about quote unquote Western validation, because like we saw with previous attempts to make it in America, K-pop groups or people like Rain or BoA or the Wonder Girls like doing their thing the way that they're loved for doing their thing in Korea and not really getting attention. And like seeing now that like maybe the only way to get the attention of the general, like generally ignorant, generally racist American public is that you have to pander to them with English. And so do you want that? Or do you like, I don't know. It's like, these are the questions we need to be asking ourselves is like, if you think it's a sellout to like sing in English, then like maybe we need to stop caring about American radio giving a shit about K-pop. These are questions. I'm just saying.
And it's also you kind of have to decide like what qualifies as that American validation for you, right? Like if you need it, right? If you need that Western validation, whatever. Because then I would bring up again something like Boy with Love or the album, the Blackpink album, right? Because that had not only Ice Cream with Selena Gomez, but also the feature with Cardi B. And was there one more? I feel like there's another one I'm forgetting, but maybe not. But both of those features, like featuring a Western artist where Blackpink continued to sing in Korean and BTS continued to sing in Korean on Boy With Love. So it's like that song was still really popular, right? Boy With Love was really popular. They performed it on several like American music shows, and like the album
like
was
SNL
huge.
For God's sake.
Yeah. And Blackpink has been going on all kinds of US variety shows right now, or like late night shows and stuff performing. Side note, I saw this like insane performance where somebody like skinned a Muppet and made Lisa wear it, and it was horrible. It was literally like green and like so poofy. It was in her face. She was
no.
like batting it away like as she was dancing. Anyway, that album, right? Like that wasn't the Blackpink album wasn't specifically marketed toward the Western market, and it didn't have any songs where the girls sang in English, but it incorporated more English into it, and like it was very successful. So it is interesting to see like how artists choose to enter the US market and how it is received.
Sure.
But it's fun to see that like I think the US market is opening up more to the bilingual songs, which hopefully that trend continues.
Yeah, like it was really nice to, over Christmas break, I got to tape several different like late night shows in Kelly Clarkson's to watch 17 with my family.
Yeah.
And they were just doing their 17 songs. And
Yeah,
like,
17
that was
never
nice to
sings in
see.
English. The irony, having two members that speak fluent English, they literally never speak in English. And the number of 17 songs that don't even have the English line for the hook, I'm like, what the? Why? Whatever. Anyway, let's go back to our timeline.
Yes, sure.
Okay, September 4th, Jackson Wang. Pretty please.
More Jackson.
Tease me, baby, please. Pretty please. Pretty please. Pretty please. Pretty please. Pretty please.
I fucking love this song so much. This is a collaboration with a Swedish duo called Galantis. This music video was fully written, directed, produced, brainchild, love child of Jackson Wang. He did literally everything. The credits are hilarious. When you watch them, it's just all credited to him. And it is an homage to the Hong Kong movies of the 90s. So the like aesthetic of the video is specifically referencing like certain movies that Jackson liked to watch when he was young and that hold like a specific place in his heart because he is a Hong Kong native. And it stars the same woman who was in 100 Ways. So this is actually like a continuation of
Jackson,
the plot.
you set up a universe for yourself. Team Wang universe.
So this woman who is stunning, basically the plot of it is that she goes to a restaurant and she gets broken up with in that very like GOT7, if you do like, I don't care, whatever, do whatever you want.
Go to sleep.
Just go to sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep or whatever. So she breaks up with whoever she's dating on the phone and then leaves the restaurant and leaves behind her earring, and he follows her into the rain to try and give it back to her. And his it also has the same, his bros, his like four wing bros are the same guys.
The ones who died
and
for
they
him in
are
the
eating with him in
past.
the booth. Yeah. So they come with him too. They're like still his bros in this world,
I love
and they
it.
act as like his wingmen in the rain, and it's cute as fuck. I love this music video so much. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor. Jackson is hot and dancing in a white t-shirt in the rain.
Yeah.
Do I need to say anything else? Why are you
don't
still
think
listening
so.
to me? Pull it up.
I see you also noted here that it was the fastest Chinese artist to 10 million views.
Yes, this music video makes him the fastest Chinese artist to reach 10 million views on Vivo. So congratulations, Jackson Wang, continuing to smash barriers and set records. We'd love to see it.
I
Team
do love
Wang.
to see it.
And now he's just fully managed by himself. So good luck to you, sir. Looking forward to whatever else you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
My very last release of 2020, which I think brings us back to today, right? Brings us up to date. November 27th, Chang'e put out a single called Dream of You.
Make her dreams come true all night long, 'cause I'll keep it so dark, dancing alone like games. Come through, don't make me dream of you. Don't make me dream.
This is a collaboration with a Moroccan-Dutch producer named Rehab, who spells his or her, I don't know. Who spells their name with a 3, R3 Hab. And this is just, she didn't really get to promote this because shortly after it, she was diagnosed with COVID. She was an asymptomatic carrier and she had to be quarantined. So she didn't get to do any of her promotions or whatever, but it's a super sexy song. It does have a full music video. I don't know if it is a dance practice. I never looked because I've only ever watched the music video, but she is doing her best Smooth Criminal in like corsets and writhing on the floor with her like men backup dancers, and it's such a good song. It's such a good song. It's very Western. I think it's a very Western song. Like
everyone that I've showed this to has like lost their ever loving shit over it and have been like, Ariana Grande who? Like it's very much like coming for that pop princess
100%. And like I would say like taking it to the next level, because like Ariana is a phenomenal singer, but like she can't dance. She can't outdance Chang'e. I mean, come on, get out of here.
No
and
one
like
can
the
outdance
choreography in Dream of You is fantastic. It's a super sexy song. And it is, I would argue that like it has a slightly different aesthetic to, at least like sonic aesthetic. It has a slightly different sound than her Korean releases, I think, because there is like a difference to the formula of a Western song and the formula of a K-pop song.
Yeah, like we were talking about the Monsta X album having no goddamn bridges, which has like somehow become a thing in American pop music. I don't know why. But yeah, they like took that on. And it was interesting because this Chang'e single was also in conjunction with the announcement that she had signed with 88 Rising to do more American stuff.
Very
which
exciting.
is cool. And like we noted before, Chang'e is from Texas. So like the artists, for the most part, the artists dabbling in English stuff, for the most part, speak English. So like that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it's interesting that it's sort of like started to explode in the last couple of years, like with the obviously paralleling the exponential popularity of like K-pop on a global stage. But yeah, that the artists who are international artists, right, or like quote unquote foreign artists in K-pop, like now they are almost like afforded the opportunity to make music in multiple languages, which is really exciting, especially for the artists who I know speak multiple languages. That must be really fun and special.
Yeah.
I know I cried like a bitch when I heard the Spanish version of Lullaby. Like, I don't know why that got to me, but like when I heard GOT7 singing in Spanish, I was like,
because it's like, it's for you.
Yes, it was just like, so, I don't know, it just like makes you feel so seen.
Yeah, for sure. And like the cynical part of me that's like, it's all evil capitalism, like gets that like they choose English, like that they chose English back in 2002 because like it's a language that a bunch of people speak as like a second, third, fourth language, so it's accessible and whatever. But like, yeah, it also is, but at the same time, it does feel nice to hear your idols like singing words that you completely understand. It's nice. Yeah, but it's interesting how it is really new, because I was trying to think about it, and like other than that weird version of The Boys that I have from Girls' Generation, like none of my old school faves do. Like SHINee doesn't have an English song. A-Pink has no English songs. Like they just
SHINee definitely doesn't. The EXO, I only found one English version. They have an English version of For Life,
and it's only on a concert album, and it's just Dio.
Yeah. I think Chanyeol sings on it too.
Oh, because he's playing the piano.
Yeah, or guitar.
It's piano. I watched the video of it today. Yeah, it was from that Elysian concert that was like on Thanksgiving a couple of years ago.
Fair enough.
It was like a couple years after the album that had For Life on it.
Yeah. It was not like released. It was, they just perform it every once in a while. Like I don't think you can buy the
I don't
English
think you
version.
can either. But yeah, it's interesting how there's just like a lot of the groups I stan, there's just like none. But now it's really prevalent. Like the Wiki Miki album I just bought has an English version of Cool on it.
Yeah, they did an English version of Cool. I know, I'm just like scrolling through my my iTunes to like see if I have anything.
You know what was another, this is kind of apropos, it's a little off topic, But it was interesting when I was doing my research for this. Like I said, I was looking for like first gen groups and just trying to dig and not miss anything. And there were a couple of times where I found like a video that was labeled as, you know, like what SES, whatever, English version. And but then the people in the comments would be like, this isn't SES. This is the Swedish group who put this song out first. So there was like, because the early K-pop days, they used to, they still do it, but there was a lot more like outright buying pop music from other countries and changing the lyrics. And so a lot of like fan videos or whatever had tried to pass off those original versions as like, this is an unheard, like Rain singing in English, but it wasn't. So always double check your sources. That's all I'm saying. But yeah.
Always check your sources.
Original demos, like the very first thing on our list, that Boa, we talked about it in the Boa episode, but the Don't Start Now song that she does the English version of is just the original version of that song because it's called Toodaloo, and it was like sung by like a British pop star first.
Yeah. Wait, what's that song? What's that BB Rexa song that oh my god, what? It got sold to, oh my god.
I mean, she wrote Lucifer, right? She sold
is
a
that
piece
it?
of one of her songs to be Lucifer. I'm pretty
Is
sure.
it Lucifer?
Yes, I think so. I'm Googling this. Yes. BB Rexa
she did
like,
write Lucifer.
had put up, she played the original sample of it on Twitter or something a couple years ago, and it's really, really different. It's one of those things where like she had written a different song and somebody just like, they took the bass line out and were like, can we have this? So her thing doesn't sound, it doesn't sound like Lucifer, but
I see.
it was the building blocks or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does happen a lot where like they'll just buy, and you can even see that in like the credits of the songs. Like I was looking through one of my Timeen albums or something, and like it'll say in it original lyrics by and then Korean lyrics by. So a lot of times it is just like a Swedish song that got rewritten.
Sure. Like I tangentially know the person who wrote You Think, the Girls' Generation song, You Think. You think you're real cool. And like, yeah, they had just put like dummy English lyrics over it with the intention of selling. Like a lot of people like write pop music with like really simple dummy lyrics, like with the intention of selling them to someone else. And I feel like sometimes, which is a whole other question we could talk about for a second, which is like when the English version is bad, which I think happens a lot because I think sometimes they use those placeholder lyrics that include a lot of cliches and a lot of like weird.
Yeah. English versions of songs are interesting. It is rare for me to really like an English version of a K-pop song, and the reason for that is because usually the English versions do not match the rhythm, number of syllables, or intonation in the lines, right? So the emphasis you have to be really careful about the way you phrase it if you want the rhythm and the inflection to sound the same in English as it does in Korean. You really have to think about the sentence structure. And a lot of times, like when you listen to an English version, like this is how I felt about the Red Velvet Bad Boy version.
Right.
I like really didn't like that one. And I didn't really love the Wiki Miki Cool English version either, because it just sometimes there are lines where it sounds like they are smushing too many syllables into a line where the rhythm doesn't allow it. And so like for me, it really bugs me when I hear an English song that I'm like, the syncopation is off. And like if you had rephrased it, or if you had just like said it in this way instead, it would have fit. And I don't know why you did this, but it makes me want to scream.
I think we've talked about this before, but the most baffling one to me is that Red Velvet version of Bad Boy, because the Korean version says who dat boy. Works. Perfect. That's
and also
slangy
already
English.
in English.
But in the English version, they change it to who dat is. And like is an ugly word to sing. There was no reason to change. I don't know why they changed it. Yeah. I don't know why they changed it.
And that doesn't make any sense for so many reasons, especially because then you're like changing that line from ending in a vowel to ending in a consonant, and that sounds so different when you sing it. Like the musicality of it is fucked.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Like when I wrote our English version of Sorry Not Sorry, I literally tried to match the ending vowel sounds.
I appreciate that. That's the care that should be taken.
Yeah. Monster
And that's
X, you're
the
really going to
other-
thank me for that version someday.
I can't wait. But yeah, that's like the other weird thing to think about is like English versions at the expense of what? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
if they're better. Like, I feel like Wonho's English version of Opened Mind was pretty good because the like themes stayed exactly the same. It was still a song about fucking a stranger, but like
Yeah, and like Love Talk, the English version of Love
Yes.
Talk is really good. I love that version. Like, I don't care that Yang Yang says make it clap. It doesn't bother me.
he can say that if he wants to. Let him.
Look, it rhythmically fits, okay? So it doesn't make me mad.
It's fine.
It fits within the structure of the song.
For sure.
So I will allow it.
Yeah, so that's like a crash course on the history of like full English language music in the K-pop sphere, and it feels like a trend that is not going anywhere anytime soon and will probably just keep expanding. And I feel like there's a chance that we might get to a world where as often as people have Japanese releases, like US English releases will come. Like, I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if that becomes the new trend, is to like
That would be,
also
like,
make an
The
English
next
album.
step. Yeah, that
Right?
makes sense, right? Because the Japanese releases, like, that's a major part of K-pop, of
For
doing
sure.
like a whole separate discography in Japan. And a lot of times those go with, Japanese tours and like actual like Japanese promotions. And that would be really cool. I mean, we are already seeing like with Monsta X, like putting out a full English album. And I know like Eric Nam did as well, like putting out a full English album. I don't think, well, I guess Monsta X got to promote a little as well, but then like everything got shut down. So
I think it would have,
We'll
I think it
see.
would have gone different. Like, I wonder how that All About Love promotion would have gone if the world was different. Because it literally started, like, in the last
a couple weeks.
of
Yeah,
it.
it came out on Valentine's Day, and then it was just
Yeah.
like they had like a week of promoting.
And it was also weird because Juon was out. So, yeah, it was, everything about it was a little weird. But the album, we will have the album forever, and it will remain a treasure to me.
Yeah, and then like you said, we'll see if this English release starts to be as big of a trend as the Japanese releases. Let's find out.
So, what's your favorite English release ever? Let us know, and we'll be right back with the random game. Oh, wow, guys. Okay, this is Shannon. I'm editing, and my microphone is not working, so this sounds crazy and different, but I have made a big mistake. And I can't let it pass, which is that I totally forgot to talk about Super M and all of the English Super M songs. And I didn't get to talk about the beauty and cheesiness that is Better Days and the wonderful perfect line that Ten just like nails the fuck out of in Big Chance.
I want a little bit more than nothing, and I might tear us apart, but it's you I'm tired of craving, yeah.
Like, oh my god, how could I have done this? Super M. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on this for a long time because I'm all by myself and like I wish I had Angelica here to have opinions, but I couldn't let the episode be finished without saying it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, that's all. Goodbye. All right, we're back. And this week the random game gave us a challenge. A first gen challenge.
Yes, a challenge that we've like joked about a few different times because of like whenever we come across a group that has like a ridiculous name.
Yes. So we got the OG, one of the OG co-ed groups. Cool. They were just called Cool.
Yeah, which we've made the joke several times of like, wow, it's really hard to look up cool K-pop group nowadays. But anyway, we've talked about them. I think we maybe mentioned them briefly in the first gen episode. We definitely talked about them in our co-ed groups episode. They debuted in 1994 under the name Why You Wanted to Be, and were originally a 4-member group. But for the second album, 2 of those members left, and a female member joined them. So I believe their first album under Why You Wanted to Be was not co-ed, and then the second album, now under the name Cool, they are a 3-member group, 2 men and 1 woman, and they're actually still together today. So they have not yet disbanded.
Yeah, they've never officially disbanded. They won a ton of awards in their day. Like when they first debuted, they like absolutely swept a bunch of awards in 1997 for like best group, and their song was always winning on the like Gaio Top 10 show or whatever. And we've talked about them a couple of times because some of their songs have been remade for dramas in the last couple of years and have gotten popular again. One of them is called All For You and was on the Reply 1997 soundtrack, and we talked about it being a very popular wedding song these days because it's a nice duet to sing at a friend's wedding. And then they have another song called Aloha that got covered on Hospital Playlist in 2020 and went to #1 again, sung by an actor from Hospital Playlist.
Amazing. So yeah, Cool's still relevant today, I suppose. And they were pretty popular in their own day as well. We noted in our co-ed groups episode that their songs in the time that they were released were some of the most popular karaoke songs. Like you just said, in 2002, they received the Golden Disc Award for their 7th album, which was the year's best-selling album. But because they're first gen, it's hard for us to find a lot of information about their discography and about their like top performing tracks. So we have some info on like what were their most popular albums, but it's really hard to find like what was their top title.
And I'm looking in 2 languages, guys. On topic of this episode, I really tried to find a discography for this group and I couldn't find one. So we found a music video that has been properly uploaded by Genie. I don't know what year it's from, but it's an old Cool song that's called Destiny, and we're going to give it a watch.
I would maybe, based solely off of the album titles, guess that this is off of their 3rd album, Destined the Best.
Ooh, that would make sense.
But I don't know.
But who knows? All right, you ready?
Yes, let's do 1, 2, 3, go, and then press it on the go. Ready?
Got
1,
it.
2, 3, go. Okay,
All right. We've got a black and white film strip and a lady in a white shirt, and oh, she's smiling. Oop! Now it's like a green preschool Disney house.
Okay, so we're like cutting back and forth between black and white and like really bright colors. I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything?
It's just like a gentle snap song.
Oh, I hear it now.
Here it goes. Here we go. Ooh, first gen K-pop. Let's go, baby.
Wow. What was first gen's obsession with gloves? Like HOT
Yeah.
and like these guys. Okay, so the girl has like these plastered down bangs and then like spiky hair. Like whatever it is, it's gonna be spiky.
It's gelled to death. Yeah.
They're kind of all 3 wearing like similar shapes in that they're all wearing like very
70s
loud
clothes with
suits.
big collars.
Big
and
collars and loud patterns and plaid pants.
And they're doing a really big first gen dance with lots of like big arms and big legs.
Yep.
And the song sounds like vaguely public domain music somehow.
This does sound like something I've heard before.
I honestly might have watched this and referenced it in the first gen or the co-ed group episode, Because I remember noting that after I had watched a bunch of first gen videos, that YouTube was suggesting to me like those videos of children opening toys because the
'Cause of
robot
the colors.
recognizes how bright these colors are and is like, oh, you're watching kid stuff. Here you go. Yeah, this house for sure looks like, what was that? Like, what was it, out of the box? Like that. Or like, I don't know, no,
Like
it looks
Bear
like
in the
Mother
Big
Goose's
Blue
Rock and
House,
Rhyme
like-
with these weird doors.
Yeah, and these like there's just a bunch of like traffic signs in the background.
But yeah, these big feather gloves, and she has the ski goggles on. It's like all of the things.
Yeah, their songs were very popular in karaoke because they were simple, easy to sing.
Yeah, and most of them are like technically duets, right? Because then
Right. There is a female voice in all of them. Wow, this dance. They're just like, this really does look like a kid's something. This is like what I would play if I was teaching first grade and like needed to give my kids like a PE break.
right.
Like everybody get out of your seats. Like we're gonna dance along while we learn our pronouns or whatever. Is the classy looking woman from the No, it is a different woman.
Yeah, she's not the. I don't think the girl
She's
in the
not
nice
the girl.
Button down is the girl. I think it's
Yeah,
a different
no.
girl.
I think so too.
Yeah, this is a very easy dance. Kick, turn, spin, arms and arms, and then we cross and we move and we go like this. It's fun. I like. There's something charming about old K-pop and how it was just very simple.
It was very simple. My only note for when we did them in our co-ed group was, wow, outfits, comma, no one is a good singer.
That is the biggest indicator of the generations, is that in the
Yeah.
first one, no one could fucking sing.
No one can sing, and all of the outfits are terrible. These are the
Oh,
two things that are true.
Well, that was cool. An important part of K-pop history.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, it's recommendation time.
Oh,
And there's a lot of love and good in the world. So we have, I feel like my initial recommendations are really obvious, and people who like us and like the things that we like, there's no way that they have missed these things. However, I will go over it just in case. First of all, Hyuna is back. Album, mini album, physical album. Hyuna is back. The single is called I'm Not Cool. She is a snake in it. She's wearing great outfits. The dance is easy to do. It's like, it's peak perfect. It's the Hyuna that all of you whiners have been asking for, like, ever since. Everyone who hated Flower Shower. Here you go. This is what you wanted. But tomorrow, or if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, it's probably out. The Good Girl, the music video for Good Girl, which we were supposed to get in August, is
Amazing.
out. And like, that's my favorite song on the album. And I said this on
Yeah.
Twitter. If that had come out like it was supposed to in August, it probably would have been my song of the year. It's like so fun and poppy and fun. It's just so fun.
It's a really good song. I do really. She's been promoting it as her like B-side. I think I've only maybe seen one performance of it so far. But yeah, it's the B-side that I've seen her do, and it's great. It's such a fun song, and her vocals in it are really cool. I feel like Good Girl gives you a side of Hyuna that you don't often hear.
sure.
She sounds really good in that song.
Yeah, there's another track on the album called Show Window, which is your tiny baby voice ballad, a Hyuna that you get on a Hyuna album. And then there's Party Feel Love with her BB Dawn, and that is just like vibes all the way. And then Flower Shower is on there too. So if you haven't checked out anything of the new Hyuna comeback, I must insist that you do that. And then the next recommendation is that I feel like nobody's really understanding the gravitas of this, but there is a new SHINee song in the world. And it's so good.
It's so wonderful.
It's so good.
If you're not already aware, it's called Marry You. So SHINee is officially coming back February 22nd with I believe it's their 7th album, and it's called Don't Call Me. And they did a V Live like comeback, like pre-comeback special, I guess, because it wasn't a comeback special because the album isn't out yet. It was just like a preview, and it was called The Ringtone. It's all entirely for free and subbed on both V Live and YouTube. Feel free to watch it. But you can just watch the performances. And they ended it they started it with Good Evening, and then they did individual solo stages, and
Which
then
are
they
perfect.
ended
Please
it-
watch them.
Yes, they're amazing. But they ended it with the reveal of a B-side from the Don't Call Me album, which is called Marry You. And this is at least the way that they staged it in the comeback in this special was just to stand and sing 4 boys at a mic stand, like singing their freaking hearts out. But the song itself is like funky and groovy, and it's not a ballad really. It's just like
it's a slow jam.
Yeah, it's a slow jam for sure, because like it's mostly a rap. I feel like the verses are mostly rapped between Mino and Key, but then the chorus is obviously the highlight of the song, and it just like absolutely it's like every time you hear the chorus, the original melody line of the chorus is so wild with the high notes and the runs, and then every time they sing it again, they just layer on more ad-libs, more harmonies, even higher notes, and it's fucking amazing.
I wanna marry you right here, right now. Yeah, I wanna marry you.
You and I, obviously, like we and Jenna, we stayed up to watch it at 2/3 a.m. and we like chatted the whole time. It was lovely. And we were sort of chatting about how, for one, this special happened on January 31st, which was the first full moon of the year. And all 3 of us immediately noted like how strongly we could hear Jong in this song.
He lives in that warm fuzz between the harmonies. I don't know how to explain it, but I know the people who know what I mean know what I mean.
This
But
is
I
a song.
hear him.
Yeah, you can hear the way that his voice would have naturally fit in to the harmonies that they're already doing. You can hear like which ad libs he would have like added on to. And I feel like you can also really easily fit this song into his discography.
Yes.
It gives me a lot of She Is vibes, like off of that particular album. And because it's like kind of sexy, and obviously like that album had like some marriage motifs in it as well.
It did.
But I felt like the choice of this song was very specific, and like
Yes.
had Jong in mind. And obviously we won't know that until we hear the whole album, but I wonder if they chose to perform this particular B-side because you can hear Jong in it the most.
I agree. And I also feel like an important thing to note is that canonically, Marry You is part of a SHINee universe. They
Yeah.
are not like EXO in that they have powers.
They don't have a plot.
But there has been a through line through the years connecting the debut song of Replay. First was Replay. Then on the Odd album, they do a song called Lovesick, which is a direct sequel to Replay to say, Nuna, you are still my everything. And this song, they are telling the same Nuna, all of us Nunas, that they just give me that 4th finger, baby. I want to marry you. That is what
Yeah.
they say. So I love that it is a continuation from day one. It's just, goddamn
Yeah.
it. I'm so
I love
happy.
it. It's such a good song too. Like, it's such a SHINee song. I think like that has been, I've been obviously listening to SHINee nonstop like since we watched that, since we like stayed up so late. Yeah. And then I woke up in the morning and I only listened to Marry You
Me too,
all
like
day
a freaking
long.
freak. And also, if anybody has like been listening to this and has opened your Spotify, it only exists on YouTube. There's
It's only on YouTube. So I'm over here like pulling up my
Pressing
Chrome
refresh.
extension loop, just looping this fucking video. Like,
same.
like a weird streaming fan.
Yes, and this today, I noticed today and yesterday that like if I had a YouTube video on and I walked away, no matter what, autoplay was putting Marry You next. It was like, she wants this.
I mean, but you did. So.
I did though.
When we, after the morning after we stayed up really late and watched this special, literally without even getting out of bed, I already listened. I like woke up, opened YouTube, listened to Marry You, watched the whole thing, and then I got out of bed and just watched it over and over and over again. And like, I'm sorry, neighbors, but I will scream that high note every time. I am sorry. When Key takes it up a notch.
Yes.
Yes, I will do that as well.
Oh my god. It's so good.
Oh, it's so wonderful. I just can't. I can't wait.
I can't. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Albums are ordered, baby.
Albums are
We're
ordered,
doing
versions
this.
A and B.
And B.
I might keep both of them. Maybe I'll be nice and do a giveaway. We'll have to see what they look like when they get here.
Exactly. Same seas, same seas. I bought a couple extras. Are they for me? Are they for you? We'll decide. I don't know.
Didn't you also
Same-
buy like 10 Hyuna albums?
I didn't buy 10. I only bought 4.
Only.
Because there are four photo card choices, and even though it's extremely unlikely, I was like, I will buy 4 and see if I get all 4 without going overboard. I just got the message that they were shipped, so I'm gonna be watching for them every minute. I'm so excited. Guys, we haven't had a physical Hyuna album in so freaking long, and it comes with stickers. I'm so excited. Yeah, so those are 2 very strong recommendations, but I will throw in one thing in case you are like, duh, I listen to Hyuna and SHINee, I listen to this podcast. What else you got for me? CIX put out a new song today called Cinema, and it fucking slaps. It's cool. So good. So there's something totally out of field for me. CIX, new song, Cinema. Check that out if you know the other things.
Nice. I don't have any other recommendations. Sorry. I live in a world that includes SHINee and the Untamed, and that's it.
Hey, that's fair. That's really fair. I was in a very, like, all SHINee all weekend, and then this picture of Yuno's tummy shattered the glass on my spell, and I was distracted for like an hour, and then I went back.
Oh, yeah. Well, we could recommend that. Yuno put out a follow-up song, Eeny Meeny. If you guys haven't checked that out, or if you liked his album Noir, then no, that wasn't called Noir.
Yeah,
Wait.
it is.
Yes, it is.
It
I'm
is.
sorry. I just recently bought like a couple of things, and I got it confused with something else. Anyway, if you liked his album Noir, then he put out a follow-up, kind of like how Red Velvet, Irene, and Seulgi put out Monster, and then they just put out a single, Naughty. This is the same thing, and I don't know what that's about, but it seems to be an SM trend. So there is a music video for it. It's called Eeny Meeny, and the music video features Seulgi, but the track does not. So our theory is that it might link to the Red Velvet universe.
Yes, because there's a vague, violent ending to the music video that either implies that perhaps Yuno got in a car accident at the very beginning of the music video, and the rest of it is a dream.
Yeah.
Or something else, but he has a bloody head, and Seulgi looks suspicious. And Red
Yeah.
Velvet loves murder. And we posited last week while we were ranting during the Keep Your Head Down stage that, like, what if it's a Red Velvet teaser? What if the universe is folding in on itself?
Because you can also, I've seen some interpretations where like the car accident at the beginning is actually is made so that thinks it's an accident, but maybe Sulgi ran into him on purpose and like she like targeted him. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Hopefully we get a Red Velvet comeback soon and that they will answer our questions.
Yes, but anyway, did a eeny meeny stage in these white bell bottoms with this little yellow tummy peak sweater, and he looked so fucking cute, and I couldn't take it.
I know, he looked so cute. All of the lesbian TVXQ fans I follow on Tumblr were like, give this man a real crop top!
Yeah.
I have to send you some of these like soft,
I can't
sets
wait.
that
I
they
need
sent,
them.
that they had. There's one where he's wearing like an off-the-shoulder sweater.
No.
Like he just got off of like dance rehearsal. It's like flash dancing. I love it. I love him. His hair looks so good right now.
He's so handsome. I can't wait to watch him host Kingdom.
Oh my god, that is gonna be such a trip. I can't wait to see how fucking cranky Changmin is.
He's gonna hate it.
I
He's gonna
really-
complain the whole time about
gonna
like,
complain the
when
whole
I was
time.
their age. He's
And
gonna
I
say
wonder-
that so many times.
For sure. In our day, when we were young, when we were
younger,
there.
we never
When we
blah,
were
blah,
dating,
blah.
when we will, yeah, he will for sure. And I pray for the sake of all of the boys that are on, not all of the contestants, do not cover TVXQ on this show. Just
it won't work in your
don't
favor.
do it. You can't hit the notes, and they don't want to see another Neurotic cover.
Right.
Don't
They've seen
do
enough.
it. Don't do it.
Word of advice if anyone can hear us.
I know someone's listening. Someone in the K-pop world listens to the show.
Kevin. It's Kevin.
to you,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Can you
Kevin.
hear me? Tell
Kevin.
everyone.
Kevin. No TVXQ covers, Kevin.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do
Oh boy. Well, that's it for today. If you would like to get more content from us, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/AMAKpop-pod. We just put up our January episode, in which we played very super specific K-pop Pictionary, and we had a really good time. So you can check that out if you join our Patreon. If you want to get in contact with us on regular things, we are at AMAKpop-pod on all of the things, Instagram, Twitter, amakpoppod@gmail.com. If you want to join our Discord, which we talk about a lot as the cool, fun place to make K-pop friends, you can find the link for that Discord on those social media sites. We have a phone number you can call, 181-AMA-KPOP-5.
A P.O. box you can write to, P.O. Box 26096, Los Angeles, California, 90026.
And a Spotify where you can find playlists for episodes that have music. This one will we'll see how much of these English releases are on Spotify.
Yeah.
But if they are, we'll have a playlist for it. And yeah, playlists for other episodes if you want to check those out. We also have a YouTube. We have some reactions on there, some other fun stuff. Maybe tomorrow I will feel like putting hair on and I'll do a good girl reaction because I was too busy for an I'm not cool reaction. We'll see what happens. But that's where you can find those things. And we'll be back next week like we always are. And until then, have a good day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jonghyun, your inspiration.